Hello, my name is Lizzie Spradley, she, her pronouns, and I work for the Maryland Department of Health, Office of Harm Reduction, and I'm a nurse. Today I'll be talking about basic wound care supplies and wound care techniques. And this is Greg.
Hey, I'm Greg. I use he, him pronouns, and I work for MaHRTI, or the Maryland Harm Reduction Training Institute, and I am a trainer there, and I'll be your arm model.
Today we'll be talking about very basic steps with wound care or first aid. We'll be talking about how to safely remove the dressing, assess the area, clean the area, dress the area, and then finally secure the area. Now, before we remove the dressing, we want to make sure that our workspace is set up. Whether you're working on a sidewalk, a chair, a table, we want to make sure that we have a clean surface to work on. We want to make sure that we have either a Chuck's pad or a puppy pad, it might be called, or newspapers or a clean towel, whatever you need to do to have a clean surface to work on. Then you'll have your supplies set up that you're going to use, as well as a big pile of gloves, because we want to change our gloves as often as we're touching soiled things. We don't want to be cross-contaminating from soiled to clean. And then I have a plastic bag set up that I'm going to throw away all the disposable, like used supplies that I've had or any dirty supplies. But you could have a trash can or you could have a biohazard bag. Either way, whatever you choose to use, just know that anything that you're taking off of the wound or the skin issue, any of those soil dressings, anything that you're using to clean it, are all considered biohazardous materials because they have those body fluids on there. So it's really important not to just toss those in a regular trash can where they could easily be touched by someone, but trying to secure them, tying them off in like a plastic bag, and then disposing of them. So now that we have a clean surface to work on and we have our trash cans nearby, we're going to start talking about how to remove a dressing. And before we even remove the dressing, right, which we're going to end up seeing what's underneath, it might cause pain to the person you're providing care to. We want to just think about how have they been treating the wound? Is the wound causing them pain? And then what supplies are being used to treat that wound and cover that it's been working for them, or maybe some things that you're seeing when you're assessing it that you want to change a little bit. I have a person who has a wound who came to me, and we're talking about how long has the wound been there and different ways to track how long a wound has been there so we can get kind of a timeline, either in case it is healing and we can say, all right, things are going in the right direction, or if it's not healing, we can have a timeline of kind of how long has the wound been there, what have we been doing to try to treat it, and how has the wound responded to the supplies that we used or the care that we've been providing. So when I do that, I would say, all right, ways that we can track the wound is you can either write things down, right, the old school way. There could be forms that you could find online that are very simple, like asking about how to track a wound. Or you could use your camera on your phone. Most people do have phones these days with cameras. If you are the person providing the care and you're in a harm reduction organization or providing community care, do not use your personal phone. If the participant or the person who's coming to you for care has a phone, encourage them to use their phone to take a picture of the wound. Maybe every time they take the dressing off and they're providing new care to themselves. Taking a picture with your phone is going to give you that time and the date of the picture. So you're going to be able to see, all right, this is what it looked like last Tuesday. Now let's take a look and see what it looks like 2 Tuesdays from now. And that's really helpful if someone is needing to receive a higher level of care or maybe more advanced wound care. Then you can show that clinical provider, hey, this is kind of how it is changed and moved, progressed or not progressed in this time frame. So we talked about different ways that you can track the wound. Also, another important thing to do before you start taking off the dressing, because you don't want someone to leave midway, is trying to figure out what supplies were previously used and if they were actually working for the person with the wound. So that would be like, are you seeing like blatant drainage coming from that wound? For example, if I looked over and someone's dressing had blood coming out or there was just different colored drainage seeping through, then I might say, okay, then we might need a little bit more absorbent layers on there. If it's just really wet and dirty and the person says, hey, I actually just got exposed to the elements and I wasn't able to keep it dry, I might try to find something that's able to help them keep it away from the elements a little bit. But then once we figure out what supplies worked for the person and what supplies you have available, then just pull out those supplies before you start doing everything. So the movement from removing the dressing and then cleaning it to putting on those supplies is pretty seamless. We don't want to just leave somebody there with their dressing off and their wound exposed. I'm about to remove the dressing. And I want to make sure I wash my hands, whether that's with hand sanitizer, whether that's washing my hands with soap and water at a sink. We definitely want to make sure we wash our hands. And then gloves are our best friend, right? We want to make sure that we're changing our gloves after anything we're touching, whether it's very dirty or whether it just has a little bit of dirt. We just want to make sure that we have a nice fresh box of gloves to kind of cycle through, and we can constantly change our gloves. So now that you have washed your hands, you're going to put on your gloves and you're going to go over to help the person remove the dressing. Now there might be discomfort and pain, and you can ask the participant, have you taken anything? Has this been painful in the past? They can tell you yes or no. But again, we're working with very basic supplies. So what we're gonna try to do is just be as gentle as possible and understand that we're removing something off of a tender area. So we're gonna go slow and go careful. All right. So now when we're removing the dressing, we want to see where it was secured. So I see a little bit of tape here. So then I'm going to have him pull up and I'm going to just slowly remove this dressing. And since this has been used, we have our little trash bag right here. We're going to throw it away. And I'm still touching dirty surfaces, so I don't need to change my gloves just yet. And now, again, this is a dressing that's directly on his wound. So I want to make sure that I'm not causing him any extra pain. I want to let him know that I'm removing it and just let him know, hey, if this is stuck or if this is painful, just let me know and we can go slow. If you do start to peel it back and it feels like it's stuck directly on the skin, just pour water or use a saline bullet, something to moisten this to hopefully loosen those wound dressing fibers from the actual wound. So then I've taken off the final dressing that was directly on the wound. It's soiled. I'm going to throw it away, and then I'm going to change my gloves for the next step.
What did we learn on how to remove a dressing? First, we want to prepare the area. You want to ensure you have a clean working surface to provide care on. Next, you want to prepare your supplies by laying out all the supplies you anticipate you will need during the dressing change. Next, any and all soiled or dirty materials need to be placed in a disposable bag. Next, we talked about ways to track the skin issue or wound by writing down notes, taking a picture with your phone, or marking the area with a marker. Next, we talked about checking in with the person who is receiving care to see how they have been managing their pain, what supplies they've been using on the wound and what's working for them. And last, we discussed about changing your gloves often, especially after touching something dirty or soiled.